Tonight, we're going to talk about a brand that was built out of the idea of saving a flea market in Texas. La Puga. What an amazing brand and amazing story. Today, we're going to talk to Sarah, one of the co-founders, and we're going to talk to Dave, VP of Marketing. They're going to tell us about the whole process of making their tequila, the story behind it coming together, and also the additions they added with some Mezcal and Sotol. So stick around. This one's pretty awesome.
It's tasting tequila with Brad.
All right, I'm fired up to be here to talk about another tequila. I'm here with Sarah and Dave. How you guys doing tonight?
Rocking and rolling. Gosh, that's silly.
Always incredible.
That's awesome.
Doing good.
All right, Sarah, let's start with you. Tell everybody who you are and why you love tequila.
I'm Sarah Castillo. I am a born and raised Fort Worth girl and Fort Worth, Texas girl. I guess I started off my career in a food trailer. So I started when I was 27 years old selling tacos out of a trailer and then made my way to restaurants. So I guess a restaurateur, but I never really considered myself a restaurateur, but a girl that has restaurants. And I fell in love with tequila being in those restaurants. And so obviously I'm Latina. I serve tacos and then kind of Mexico City inspired food. So I served a lot of tequila and mezcals. And so my journey has gone from you're the big brands, and then you start getting into some fun new brands that you never heard of, and their whole romantic side of tequila and the process. And so that's kind of how I fell in love with tequila.
What about you, Dave? Same question.
Awesome. So Dave Wiley, I'm the most recently VP of Strategic Accounts, but I was brought on as the head of marketing to La Pulga. I've been here for about a year. My background prior to this was actually in beer. So I worked for a large beer manufacturer for years. And I've always been a huge tequila aficionado. I moved to Mexico when I was 15, lived there for many years, and have been going back for all of my adult life. I've always been incredibly passionate about tequila. And so when I was thinking about what I wanted to do, I knew I wanted to be in the tequila space. It's all we drink at home, that and some nice wine. And then this opportunity came up. There's so many tequila brands and there's so many good liquids and there's good marketing. I talked to them for 6 months. Everything checked out. It's like they had the great liquid, they had the story, and everybody was just incredible, authentic, passionate people. And I was like, this is so exciting. This is where I want to be. It's an incredible liquid. We have an incredible distillery, an incredible team. The founders are just the most authentic, real people. And it's been such an amazing journey building this from one state to multiple states now. And we're just so excited to see where it goes.
Very cool. So how many states are you in today?
We're in 7 states now.
What states are those?
So Texas, Oklahoma, Florida, Tennessee, New Jersey, Colorado, Rhode Island, Connecticut. Did I miss any, Sarah? I said Oklahoma and Colorado.
Colorado. Yes.
Colorado. Awesome.
Okay.
But we're also on military bases. So we are also in 7 countries and roughly 160 military bases.
Through the
Very
exchange.
cool.
Yeah.
Was that a hard program to get set up?
Oh yeah. Yes.
I bet.
Yes.
Whenever dealing with the United States government, things get a little tougher.
Yeah. But as you know, this industry is very relationship based. So our CEO, luckily, he came from a big company and he ran that, I guess, international sales or army. That was what he was in charge of. So he had those relationships. And so whenever he came on board, it still was hard to get in. I mean, you can't have bad juice, you can't have bad marketing, and but so he had all those things, and even with all that, it was still it was just tough, but it was great. We love it.
Well, let's talk about the owners and how it got started. Why La Pulga? How did this all come together, and who brought it all together?
Yeah. So it's me and Sarah Castillo, Andrew De La Torre, and Steven Slaughter. So us 3 are co-founders. And in 2019, during COVID, so there was this flea market in Fort Worth where we're from, and it's been there since the 1940s. And it's been this hub for the Mexican community And it's, you know, just an open air Mexican flea market. So there's eating, drinking, dancing, shopping. And during that time, it was going to go, it was on the market to sell. And so I think either discount tire apartments or whatnot. But Andrew Delatorre was managing that flea market at the time. And so once he got wind of what was going to happen, he came to me and we were kind of bouncing ideas of how to save that flea market and preserve it. Um, and at the time, so I was in the restaurants and I was on the other end where people were coming in trying to sell tequila. And I just saw the market just getting really noisy. And I just like did not recognize tequila. And it was celebrity driven tequilas, a tequila with a ton of vanilla. And I was just like, what is going on here? Um, and so we really wanted to bring something to market that was additive free, available, affordable, and approachable tequila. Um, so I think that was something like that we wanted to bring back old school tequila. Like tequila, like if my grandparents were still alive and I set it on the table, they would be very proud and want to drink it. And my family's from Guadalajara, Andrews is from De Leon. So like we just wanted, yes, from third generation Mexican American, but we understand like what our culture is and what we wanted to bring back and not celebrity and not glitzy and not this cheesy bottle and all this crazy marketing. Like it should be about good juice and good people. Um, so then our other business partner, Stephen, came in and we came together, we raised capital, and we purchased 12 acres of land. So preserving that flea market, taking all that beautiful essence and what that flea market's all about and putting it in tequila. So on our bottle, we have a medallion and it says Corazón y Alma. So that's something that's just a daily reminder to us, like why we're doing this. And this Corazón y Alma means heart and soul. So bringing heart and soul back to tequila and not this posting pictures of a party you would never get invited to. Like all this glitz and glam. And I'm like, that's not what tequila's like. That's not what the Mexican heritage I know is about. You would go to one of our Christmases and there's someone random that I've never seen in my entire life because my grandfather invited them to because they didn't have anywhere to go. So like that's what we wanted to bring to tequila. Um, but so yeah, that's kind of how the genesis of it.
What does the name mean?
La pulga technically means flea, but it is a slang term for flea market.
Oh, very cool. So
Yeah.
that ties it all the way back to the flea market. That's very awesome.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what was your process like to find the distillery that you're at and then work with them to create your profile?
So we headed to Jalisco once we got the land under contract, and it was kind of an oh shit moment, like, oh my God, how are we gonna pay for this? And then also like what our business model. So we knew we wanted to get into tequila. So we went to around over 30 distilleries in Jalisco and bouncing around. We went to some great ones, like Pop was a good one, Pascoian was a great one. And once we went to ours is NOM 1068, Agroindustria Guadalajara, it was not to be cheesy, but it's like going home. And it's a small distillery and it's so well taken care of, well manicured. Um, and then they just treated us like family as soon as we got in. There's some distilleries that literally just gave us a bottle and like just pat us on our back and like was like, okay, do you want to do business or what? But this one, like they fed at first is like we eat first before we talk about any business, we eat together. So we break bread. And then the tour and then our the main lady that runs it as Alejandra, and she just said everything that we were saying too. We're like, holy shit, did she like hear what we were looking for? So just things that like doing it the right way, not cutting corners, and taking care of their people. So once we heard things like they make breakfast every day for the entire team. So 150 people, they are making breakfast there. And they'll pack up the breakfast and send it to the fields around 11 for the humidors. But it's just like those kind of things that just like hit home to us. And I was like, holy shit, this is family. And it's not like talking the talk, or it's like literally them doing it, and we see it all the time. And little things like them preserving their water for their town, for Capilla de Guadalupe. Everything that they were just doing was just right. And then it didn't hurt that the tequila was so delicious and so smooth, and it was just like a match made in heaven. So
I think what one thing you also asked about was the profile, and I think one thing that makes us particularly special is they didn't go down to Mexico like asking for a profile, and I think that that's how you get into the trap of modifying your tequila. The distillery, everything about this tequila goes back to the fact that the distillery was started 30 years ago by 7 agave farming families. And the distillery was started because they were tired of selling their agave to other distilleries that were going to adulter it, make other products with it, you know, full additives or do shortcut processes. And every decision that they've made in the production of this tequila has been around emphasizing the best notes of their own agave. Since they own the agave, they control the production. And so it's not a place that you show up and you say, this is my profile. They make it the way that they make it, and they make it the way that they want to make it. And I think that a lot of people show up with a lot of like, you know, ego going into these distilleries saying like, I know more than you do, and you are the ones that have been doing it for a long time. And I think that's one incredible thing about our tequila is that it is representative of the land. And if you talk to our master distiller, Sixto Garcia, he says like every aspect, the cultivation of the yeast and everything that I built about this process is how can I just showcase the land and the agave. So that's the quote profile because it's showing off the land, and that's the way they do it, and that's the way they want to do it, and we definitely would not want to mess with that incredible expertise.
And being Capilla de Guadalupe, that's in the Highlands. It's on your way to Arandas. It's a beautiful town. And knowing that that's all amazing Highlands agaves, I can imagine that everything they have there is pretty awesome.
Yeah, everything is
hey,
400 feet in elevation, so incredibly high bricks agave. We harvest for sugar level, not for time, and everything comes out 38 to 44 bricks before it goes into the ovens. So that starting with a very rich agave, and again, it's ready when it's ready, and it takes a long time with that thin air and the high altitudes. And so you're starting with an incredibly rich, sweet product that has a lot of earth to it. You look at the soil. Brad and I were talking about this earlier. It's unlike the valley. It's just brilliantly red dirt
mm,
that's the scene. You go into these fields first thing in the morning and you have blue sky, you have the gorgeous blue agave fields with just the most rich red dirt, and it just creates this incredible product. And I think one thing I love about agave spirits is it's land, it's terroir. When you get the good stuff, like that's you're tasting a place, and there is no spirit that has the flavor of land like agave spirits, in my opinion.
mhm.
Yeah, that is so true. It's funny when you do these blinds, I do anyway, I get into this process of trying to figure out what tequila I have in a blind. And I did a tequila matchmaker blind a few months ago, and I pulled down the tequilas that I thought they were and wrote it on the numbers and finished the blind. And when we got those back, like 2 months later, I got 4 out of 8 correct,
Nice.
and they were Highland Blancos that I recognized the profile in them. And a lot of people wonder how can tequilas taste different coming from the same area, and they don't understand that the processes are different at each place, and each place brings its own terroir to the tequila. So like, that's pretty awesome.
The best way
Yeah.
I like to analogize it to like French wine. You know, you go to Bordeaux and two chateaus can be right on top of each other, and it's the same. It's a similar area. But every field is different. And one thing Sixto says is like, even if the kitchen's the same, it's the chef that makes the difference. So you can have the whole landscape dotted with these chateaus, and every single one of them is going to taste very different because of the decisions that they're making, and the land is a little bit different from place to place. And it's so true in agave spirits, and it's just, you know, I always shout this from the rooftops when we do tastings, is that, they're all good, but they're all a sense of place.
Okay, so now we're going to let you nerd out a bit because we talked today, and you and I are on that same level of, uh, we can say nerd. I don't get mad. A tequila nerd level of how it's made. So dive into the production a little bit. First, talk about the cooking and the way that you guys are doing your cooking.
Right. So after being harvested, we use a dual cook method. So and it's 50-50. So half of it goes into the traditional brick Ornos, the ovens, and half of it goes into the autoclaves. So they're lower pressure. We use lower temperatures. And as I was telling you earlier today, we just decreased the temperature that we're using the autoclaves even further so that it can be a very delicate cook. So once we get the 50-50 agave out of the Ornos and the autoclaves, it goes on a roller mill. And we use a one pass on the roller mill. It's a very, very light shred and rinse. And one of the things that our distillery tries to do that Sarah was alluding to is they're very, very conscientious about water conservation. They have deep wells with reverse osmosis filters that they use for their production, but it also goes to the town. And so we give it a very light rinse. All the agave comes off that roller mill still. The bagazo is still wet and sticky. They're not over extracting it. They're not pressing it. It's a light shred. It's rinsed lightly, and then it goes on to be used for fertilizing fields. There's a brick manufacturing facility that uses that shredded bagazo as the binder for their bricks. So all of that gets reused. The liquid goes into cooling tanks where it's not diluted before being passed over to our fermentation facility. So fermentation, we have a proprietary yeast that's been cultivated from the fields and the land around it. Capilla de Guadalupe is known for two things. One, it had a deep history of citrus orchards that influenced the background yeast profile that is in all these agave fields. And even if the citrus fields, the orchards have been pushed a little further out by all the agave growing these days, you still have a yeast that grew up in these orchards that produces a really bright flavor. So that yeast, again, they worked on the profile so that everything just brings out the best of the land. So they took it from all the fields. That is now propagated, and we use that same yeast over and over and over. So it's a proprietary strain that we use. They wake it up by aerating it and blasting rock music. And one of the coolest things is you go into the fermentation room and there's speakers and they're playing rock music, and the yeast needs the agitation to keep the fermentation vigorous. And you can even go to the tanks that are starting to slow down. And if you make a lot of noise, you can see the fermentation pop back up. So we always like to say the party starts before it even gets in the bottle, because it's infused with a little music, which is really fun. We use a double distillation process, which is pretty common. We use pot stills. So similar to standard process where we have a destroyer and a rectifier. The destroyer is the first pass, and the rectifier gets it to proof. We distill to 110 proof, and then the tequila that's destined for our barrel aging is going to go into barrels at 110 proof, and the tequila that is going to be bottled as Blanco goes into finishing. One thing that's really different about our finishing versus a lot of other brands is we do chill filtration and oxygenation. Now, I know that some people will frown on, oh, chill filtration, you're taking some of that out. But the way we do it, so we get our tanks down very cold, almost to freezing, and then we aerate it for 16 hours. During that aeration, the ethanol evaporates. So we get it from 110 proof down to about 84 without a drop of water. It's just aeration. So as that ethanol evaporates, so ethanol is going to evaporate before some of the other compounds, the water, the flavor compounds. So that heat comes out. And what that does is that concentrates all of the greatest parts of the tequila that produce the flavor. So what you get is you end up with a tequila that has an incredible viscosity. Now this is a higher proof, so I'm cheating here, but you get incredible viscosity and it's smooth. It's rich. You get all the roasted agave. You get some mint, some anise, and some citrus in the finish. It's herbaceous, and it's a really rich agave because of that. Most of it's concentrated just from the aeration. The last 4 points of proofing is done with deep well water that's gone through reverse osmosis. And that's the standard Blanco. Happy to talk about the barrel aging and all of that, but depends on if you want to pause there and talk about the core process, or we want to get into the barrels.
Yeah, I want to back up to fermentation. So, are you going into stainless steel tanks?
Yes, so we do stainless steel tanks, and we don't ferment on the fibers.
Okay, yeah, that was going to be my next question. If you did any fibers at all?
No fibers. And we ask them, and they're very peculiar about not leaving some of the off flavors, and sometimes you get some fun flavors, and in some tequilas you want some of that wild flavors. You start to get some like barnyardy flavors sometimes, a little bit of Brett. But this one, it's more of a cleaner profile. And they said they've done some sample batches that had the fibers in there, and they weren't really getting positive flavors that they thought added any benefit to it. So I know it works really well in some tequilas, but it just wasn't right for us.
And then let's go to the music. Tell me you're playing just like 80s hair metal that was fun music, not any 90s stuff that wasn't any fun.
DJ Sarah, you want to take the playlist?
Yeah, sorry, my dogs are barking. Not my feet, but like my literal dogs. um, got it. You got it. Cool. But yeah, we were there a couple, I guess, less than a month ago. But they were playing just Mexican rock music, which is awesome. But she just said any sort of rock music. So I don't know about your 90s rock music. I'm pretty sure it's more 80s or just like old school Mexican rock music too, like Mana or so on. But
You just don't want it influenced by that era of angry at the world, right?
yeah,
Us
yeah.
80s
I
hair
don't
metal.
think. Yeah, I don't think it would be very angry. Yeah, they're talking about heart and soul and
There you go.
girlfriends and boyfriends and tequila and cerveza. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's like it's the kind of music you would want to sit around the table and have in the background while you're having tequila. It's it's fun, it's energetic. Maybe some banda in there. You get or some corrido or ballads, but I've been there a couple times, and it's always something different depending on our master fermentations mood, I think. But it's always been something upbeat for sure.
In all seriousness, for people who don't realize how much that music does make a difference, all distilleries have noise, right? So there's always noise going on. But when we were at a couple different distilleries that play some classical music while it's in fermentation, one of the guys, when we were walking through the tanks, he said, if you don't think music does anything, watch this. And he pulled a key out of his hand and he started banging on the side of the stainless steel tank. And the yeast was already moving around. It changed directions and it moved to where he was banging on the tank. And he's
Yeah.
I don't know what it's doing to him, but it's doing something. So it has to work. I'm like, I completely agree. That was really cool to see it completely change the direction that it was moving. So
it responds to your
something.
voice. If you talk to it, it responds. It's just a living thing, and it's the one that's doing all the work to create the ethanol out of the delicious sugar that came from the agave. So I think people really don't, they underestimate the fact that distillation and fermentation, there's a lot of science to it, but it's still an art. I mean, you're dealing with an agricultural product. You're dealing with yeast is a living entity. It has, there's good days and bad days depending on, there's the weather, there's everything. So there's so many environmental factors that they're having to negotiate to get to the final product. And, that's every bottle of Pulga is going to be a little bit different. It just is what it is. Like, when was it made? Was it, was it during the rainy season where you get slightly lower bricks due to the agaves soaking up the water? Was it during the dry season when you're going to get more concentrated sugars? One thing they're always having to do, because they have a target bricks level for their agaves, is sometimes you have to blend higher altitude or lower altitude plots to make sure that you're getting your sugar targets. But they deal with that with such grace. I mean, there's so many factors that they're dealing with every minute of the day, and they just do it intuitively because they've been doing it so long.
Is that fermentation open and have any wild fermentation aspects to it?
It's open air, but we are propagating from a starter tank that keeps like the yeast master in it. So I think that helps because they want to make sure that their yeast has all of the different elements from the surrounding areas, and um, they're very careful to make sure that it has there's one yeast. It's like their child. The Sixto talks about it like his baby. He's like, I raised this thing. Care of it. We've nurtured this yeast. We've protected it. We've grown it, and it's something that's really important to them. So many places use open air wild fermentation. We work with incredible Mezcaleria and San Luis Potosi, and they're open air and it's wild and it's incredible liquid. Yeah, they like their specific yeast, but it is open air. I'm sure there are some natural influences as well.
Okay, let's dive into some of that barrel product. What all do you offer, and how are you doing your aging?
So at our core line, we have a reposado and an añejo. All of our barrels come from Tennessee whiskey barrels from Brown Forman. So I don't know if I should like name names, but it's a
Oh
very
yeah, I think you're fine. Yeah.
yeah. So they're all Jack Daniel's barrels. They come from Lynchburg. We're not associated with Brown Forman, but the distillery had a relationship with them going back 30 years, where they would get barrels straight from their distillery. As you know, in tequila, we we love barrels that have been seasoned, and bourbon and whiskey create a lot of freshly used barrels that they don't use a second time. So it's very common in Mexico for those barrels to go straight down. But thanks to that relationship, we get the barrels about 7 days after they're emptied in Tennessee. They show up at the distillery. We fill them with Blanco, and the first thing that we do is we make the Añejo. The Añejo is 18 to 22 months. So the Añejo is, it's a little bit older for an Añejo. As you know, with an Añejo, it has to be a minimum of 12 months. Ours is going for almost 2 years at 18 to 22 months. But just like our Agave, we don't do it for an age statement. We do it for, is it ready? Is it hitting the flavor that we're looking for? Those barrels are dumped. We refill those barrels one more time, and we use them for the reposado. The reposado, also a little bit older age statement. It's 8 to 11 months. So after we do the reposado, the barrel is done. We sell the barrel to a barrel broker who will move it on to another distillery. And, we start with a really sweet agave. And I think that having the fresh barrels balances it beautifully. So it's, yeah. So we're going to get a lot more barrel in there. And I think it balances our incredible Blanco very well.
Awesome. Can't wait to try it.
Definitely. We do have some other special ones. So in addition to our core three, the Blanco, Repo, and Añejo, we have also done some special releases. So we have a 110. We have our 110 proof Blanco, which this one, we talked about the finishing of our standard Blanco. This one comes off the stills at 120 before being finished with aeration and no water. So it's aerated down to 110 and then it's bottled. So this one doesn't need that final splash of well water at the end. And then we did a reposado using that same process. Goes in at 120, sits in the barrels, sits 110. And then we have had a few single barrels come out. So with different partners, and those single barrel reposados, if you can find these, are 95 proof. So somewhere, I call this like the Goldilocks between our 110 and our core repo. It's a great sipper. Would be beautiful in that snifter you have in front of you. But I love the 110 for mixology. But if you come into our office after 6 o'clock, I'm just going to say 6 o'clock so we don't sound like complete degenerates, but you'll usually find us sitting around with a repo on the rocks. That would be probably our team's favorite. I like to call it the founder's favorite because I never need to ask like Sarah, Andrew, or Steven what they're drinking if I'm pouring. It's although sometimes it's a mezcal night, but if it's tequila, it's repo on the rock.
I start drinking at 6 a.m., so I think that's what you meant by 6 o'clock, right?
Yeah, yeah. You can't drink all day if you don't start in the morning.
Exactly.
That's true.
No blood in my alcohol system. That's what I always say. So here's my question. What does that 120 taste like when you're tasting it right off the still?
Sarah, we were down there. What did the
I
fresh?
mean, there's definitely some heat on there.
Yeah.
Yoo-hoo-hoo. But it's still, I mean, it's still so good. But yes, it's hot for sure.
And
The
I love drinking off the still, and you get so much more of the essence of tequila and agave, right? When it's coming off.
Hmm.
But I don't know that I've had it that hot. I think
Yeah.
110, maybe a 112, off the still is like the hottest that I've had.
It's
Yeah.
gonna be a tighter cut, right? Because to get that higher proof, you're really getting the hearts there to make sure that you can get the higher ABV. Right off the still, I get a little more fruit in it. It's got a little more fruit characteristic that becomes a little more subtle once you proof it down. It's amazing what that aeration and that chill process does to just mellow it out. The feedback that we've gotten on our 110, which won top marks at the Agave Awards and has just been incredibly well received, is everybody that tries it is like, I cannot believe that that's 110. And you'll have to try it as well. But it's we were all in the office when the samples showed up, and we get a lot of unlabeled bottle. They're labeled bottles, but it's a clear glass bottle that has a numeric code on it. It says nothing other than that, other than like a general customs agricultural mark. So the only way you know what you're drinking is to email the distillery and ask what was in each bottle. And we were doing a lot of other stuff in the office, and it got to be like 9 o'clock at night, and we were still there working, and we were like, let's crack open the samples that just showed up. So we pull this clear bottle out and we pass it around the office, and we're putting it in flutes, and this is the 110 I've got right here, and we all drink it, and we didn't know what we're drinking, and we're like, that's really good, man. It's rich, it's got so much flavor to it. It's the roasted agave is just magnified. It's like up to 11, and we're like, that's so good. What is it? And because the idea is see how it tastes and then decide what to proof it down to. And we pulled it up and we're like, oh my God, that's 55%. That's 110 proof. And we looked at each other, we're like, what are we gonna bottle it at? We're like, 110. Don't showed up perfect, and it doesn't need anything else.
Yeah.
And the reception for it has been it's lived up to that, which everybody has been incredibly complimentary of.
Well,
Yeah.
also,
Go ahead.
whenever we opened the bottle, Dave didn't really explain, but we are doing an all day activation somewhere. So we're like coming in, loading in a ton of crates, and when you're a small company, you're doing the activation. So we're loading everything in, hot, sweaty. We're in Texas during the summer, and then we pop it open. And so even after a long, hard day of working, sweating our asses off, that still was so good.
I bet. To me, there's the tequila. To me, is always refreshing. On any day, no matter how hard the day was, how easy the day was, pouring a glass of tequila at room temperature for me is always like, that's so good.
Yeah.
Some of my friends think I'm crazy, but
Yeah, most people like want a cold beer. We're like, nope, room temperature tequila, neat.
this
High
is the only
proof.
cocktail I can make. Just tequila in a glass. That's it.
Yeah, yeah.
Was you gonna say something, Dave?
No, I just said high proof room temperature tequila. But if you get it off the stills, it's hot high proof tequila.
It is
More
hot. The first time I had it, when it was actually still hot, I was like, "Oh, I need to cool that down a little bit."
when you have to blow on your mug of tequila.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just the best experience, though.
So, is there any plan of an extra añejo?
I don't know.
Yeah.
That sounds
You know,
like a
we
yes.
were we were recently at the distillery assessing some incredible barrels, but we do have some exciting stuff coming down the pipe. But for us, again, everything is about waiting and doing things right.
Sure.
Yeah.
And even our expansion, so many companies, they wanted to be in 30 states overnight. I'll just say like not 50. We didn't even leave Texas for 2 years, and when we finally did, we only added 6 more states. Just like just like the tequila, and just like how the distillery does it with the farms. Like you wait and you do things when the time's right. and we don't want to rush things, and we already have a lot of products. We have all the tequilas that I walked through, and we have a mezcal and a sotol, and we don't want to push too many things in the market before we're ready to support it, and we think the market's ready for it. Just like the way we've launched states, we open up a handful and we do everything we can to grow it sustainably and support it. And that's, in our mind, that's how you operate sustainably for the long term, instead of just, chasing the next hot thing, the next win. So we have some great stuff that's sitting down right now, but I I assure you that this lineup will not be the only La Pulga products out, but everything in its right time.
So, Sarah, as a business owner already, you had some ideas of the struggles and challenges of being an entrepreneur. We as business owners get curveball shot at us every day.
Yeah.
What's the thing that has most surprised you that you didn't expect in the tequila business?
Think how things have happened so organically. Just like our team, we never put an ad out. It was always just word of mouth. Like, I don't think there's been ever a single ad that advertised out for new, now hiring. So that's been very organic. Obviously, our partnership, me, Andrew, and Steven, was very organic and just kismic. And I don't know. Yes, we've struggled for sure. And, you got to have capital, and we're not acting like we come from the tequila world or the spirits world. So we knew as young entrepreneurs that we were not CEO. Um, so we wanted a CEO, we wanted a VP of sales, the people that like kind of have done this before. Obviously times change and you have to shift and things are different. Obviously you have marijuana cocktails or CBD cocktails or whatever. So things shift and everyone has to be agile and and adapt. But I think I think that's probably the biggest thing is like just how it seems like it's just been so like I don't know. I get like a little spiritual on you, but it's just like this was like meant for us. Like it's the path is going, and as long as all of our team like we work hard, we focus on what we're doing, and we acknowledge what the competition's doing, but we don't worry about it. Like let's just focus what we're doing, work hard, um, and just stay laser focused. And I think that's what we are all doing very well about. Sometimes, yes, there's some strays. They're like, oh, look at this. Maybe we do a RTD, and we're like, no, stay focused. Like this is what we're doing. But that's
There's usually one ADD partner that, hey, I got another idea. Hey, let's try this one.
yeah, there
We
is
got
one.
we got one hell of a whiteboard. And
Yeah.
like there are more in like a group like this, like there are more good ideas than you'll ever be able to execute. And like we'll get into a team meeting and someone will be like, wait, I've got this great idea. And we're like, we need less ideas. So many good ideas. Let's
Yeah.
just run the plays. So
That,
But
that
it's been
sounds
really
like my
good.
wife. My wife is
Yeah.
always like, no, you're doing too many things already.
But it's been nice, like us. Yes, because we are a small team. Gosh, we were probably like 8 people for the longest time, and then now we recently added on. But it's less than 20. We're at maybe 14 people. Uh, but everyone like has great ideas, and we'll do random marketing summits, and we're just all in a room together with like competing against teams of coming up with some fresh ideas. And there's some good ones, and there's some really wacky ones. And we're like, how did you get hired? Just kidding. We didn't say that about anyone. Um, but it's just fun. Like when we are a great team, and like we have some great ideas and we have some shitty ideas, and we just like keep on rolling.
So with the slowdown in spirit sales, where do you think tequila is going to continue to go?
I mean, I still think because we are not necessarily a well tequila, we are one step up, but we're not ultra premium. I do believe the ultra premium has kind of come and gone. And even in the restaurants, like they're not moving. Um, and just the economy, but also it's not even just the economy, it's just people are realizing that quality is not necessarily associated with a price tag these days. I mean, take for instance, a Michelin star restaurant with a taco stand in Mexico City. Like just those kind of things. People are understanding that quality is not necessarily associated with price tag. But I still think tequila in our realms, our category, that's what's going to still keep going. Yes, you're going to have your plastic bottle tequilas that sorority girls will probably drink in a punch, but I still think our category will be very strong. But I don't know.
I completely agree. I mean, there's such a excitement around brands like yours in the true traditional additive free category, and I think that continues to grow. I see people all the time that are sending me a picture of tequila that I'd only use to clean my bar or the toilet with, and they're asking me,
Yeah.
should I buy this one? And it's always no, buy these. Well, that's not as expensive. And that Michelin restaurant is a great example because I'm always shocked at the prices at Michelin restaurants that are more than some of the restaurants I go to. So that was a great example.
hmm
So
and then also there was an article that it was just talking about the numbers. Like, so the volume has increased. Wait, let me make sure I'm getting this right. Okay, the revenue has decreased, but the volume is still consistent or is still growing. So what that's showing is people are just buying down. So they're not buying the Don Julio's 1942 or the crazy expensive tequilas anymore. Um, but yes, I think in our area, the 30 to $60 for blancos, like are those are still going to be here. And gosh, women are just not drinking wine anymore. They're still, yes, there are still women drinking wine, but there are a lot of ladies my age, like all of my sorority sisters or friends, but it's just the sugar content, our body, and everything that's all in there. Like I still love red wine. Don't get me wrong, but I wake up with a terrible headache, and I just can't. As you get older, you can't do that anymore. You can't operate that way. But with tequila, I feel great.
nah, I do too.
Um, just
Yeah.
just to add to what Sarah's saying. So if you look at off-premise year to date, the tequila is the only spirit that's really seeing positive growth. And tequila, if you look at Nielsen, it's up 4%. But within tequila, you have premium and super premium and ultra premium, which is all defined by price point. But one thing, Sarah's pointing out is, and this too, is that price doesn't always equal quality in tequila. And if you look at the additive free segment and you don't look at it based on price tiers, you just look at additive free versus the total category, it's outpacing the growth in tequila year to date 7x. So we're at almost 30% growth for additive free brands if you go based on the tequila matchmaker additive free list. If you want to go down the road of including the big brand that has recently done some additive free marketing that changes the numbers a little bit, since they're not growing as fast as some of the smaller brands like us. But I think it shows that we are in. So tequila is growing because people see it as just this incredibly complex spirit that goes well in so many different occasions. But now people want brands that are doing it in traditional ways, that are not modifying it. They want to taste the tequila. They want to taste they want to taste the land. They want to taste what they're drinking. And I think that bodes really well for brands that are willing to do it the right way, to put the time in to make a incredible product. And I think that that's going to continue. I think, and one thing that Brad and I talked about earlier today on the phone was, I think additive free is now the table stakes. Additive free is the new 100% agave. And you'll look at 10, 15 years ago,
Mhm.
everybody would say I don't want a mixto. I know good tequila. I want 100% agave tequila. And it was a huge shift in tequila when people started looking for non-mixtos. And I think that was the beginning of people really learning a lot about good tequila. But now people are really going the extra mile to find out, I want stuff that is truly 100% agave without any modifiers. And I don't see that as changing anytime soon. I think that this corresponds to the same trends that we see across CPG altogether, which is transparency in what I'm eating, drinking, consuming. Even in household cleaning products, people want more natural products. People don't want to be consuming something that doesn't have full transparency. So I don't think this is a trend. I think this is a something that's here to stay.
Yep, I agree. And I think the talking about the traditional methods that tequila is made has helped a lot too, going beyond additives and letting people know what's the process of making the tequila. I think that's why these videos have become popular, because people want to know not only what's in it, but how'd you make it? Where did the agave come from? And I think that's been a big growth area, and I think it's going to continue. So I have a question. How did you also decide to bring out a mezcal and a sotol?
So we were interviewing, it's one of my buddies I went to high school with, and he works actually for a big company, a tequila company. And he was just telling me, like, just like, get ahead of it. Like, he's like, we never did come out with one, but he was like, I think you should, like, just do one for fun and just open the gate. And so then we started exploring and we got samples again. And we were telling so I'm a big mezcal girl too. So I originally, being a mezcal nerd, I was thinking, I was like, oh, I only want Oaxacan and all these things. And then whenever they were sending out samples, or the person in Mexico that's kind of like helping us through this whole process, he was like, I'm just going to throw this one sample in just to see what they say. And so it's all like what Dave says, like, we don't know what's on the bottles. We're just blind tasting. And we got the samples. We just finished a, a meeting that we're trying to an investor pitch, and we're in Dallas, Texas. And we were outside in the parking lot, and it was hot, like middle of summer. And these packages come out, and they're still like a little. They're toasty. They're not completely hot from the car, but they're still toasty. And we do the samples, and they're all really great. And then we tasted this one. We're like, holy shit, what is that? That's amazing. And so I was just like blown away with this one. And my business partners, Andrew and Steven, they're like, we're not mezcal guys, but we trust you. And so I was like, this is it. I want this. Like, and I just never tasted anything like it before. So then we get back and I'm like, what the hell was that? And they're like, it's from San Luis Potosi. It's a Salmiana. We don't smoke it. We steam it underground or it's under a hill. Steam it for 7 days, low temperature, open air fermentation, like everything was Tahona will crash. And so we went to go visit, and we were just blown away. We were in the middle of nowhere, and there's wild horses roaming the campo, and this wild harvested salmianas. Like it was just very beautiful, and we were just like, hell yeah, there you go. We wanted it. It's not we like, yes, we have to pay bills and whatnot. Like, this wasn't that. Like, this was just for education of not all mezcals have to come from Oaxaca. Not all mezcals are espadín or quiches. Like, there's different species out there. There's different regions you can that can be it. And this is again 2019. So now times have changed. Like, people are getting more educated and there's more mezcal bars. Um so, and even now, like I was at one here in Dallas, and they had one Salmiana, but the entire shelf was all like Espadine and all the other blends. For us, we were just bringing on something new, different. For the mezcal nerd, it's just different. For the non-mezcal drinker, it's more approachable because it's not a huge smoke bomb, but it's more briny olives and peppers, and you're getting taste like influence from all the random plants surrounding the salmiana. So for us, it's just like a really beautiful project for it and just education. Have you had it yet?
No, and I have not had Samiana. My favorite are Tobalas and Tepazates. Those are the two that always get me.
Yes, yeah.
And I'm a new nerd in mezcal, Sotol. So tell me a little bit about the Sotol. Where's it made at?
So the Sotol is a Chihuahua in Mexico. It is the main reason why we got into tequila. So if you remember, we talking about the land, we have 12 acres of land. And Andrew Delatorre, my business partner, and he still is, he is obsessed with Sotol. And mainly just the fact that he is a hard worker and he wants to make something like himself. So we played around with the idea of having a Sotol distillery on our land. And I know like all the arguments of like should it become from Mexico, should not, and we wanted to do something that does not circumvent Mexico. So our first Sotol is coming from Chihuahua, Mexico. And it's just us for like we want people to know it's not about cutting Mexico out of it. It's just we want to help educate people on Sotols. Like I mean, we there was one pod like something on Instagram and it was some chef and he was just talking about like Sotol. And I was like, that's how you pronounced it. And he's like, "What the hell is this Sotol?" And I was like, "Okay." Like, oh my gosh. But anyways, it's just like we want just to help educate people of like an old Mexican spirit. And if we can convince one person to drink it, then I think we did our job. But it's just a really beautiful Mexican spirit from Dazzlerium Willery, and we it's again wild harvested, which is this plant is considered a nuisance to farmers. They literally just want people to take it. Um, and so yeah, we that's how we came up with our Sotol.
I see a coastal ricea in your future.
Mm. If you talk to Andrew, he definitely wants to see it. I we've had some me and Dave had some in Mexico, right? This trip or New Jersey. I don't know, but I get them all mixed up.
I think
And
we got it together here in New Jersey. So
oh yes, yeah. But no, we love it. We just in it for us, like we just want to do this Mexican spirit category well. And so whatever we do, we just want to educate people on it and not think it's um comes in a plastic box or a gold and it's like, all these other or plastic bottle or just kind of like how like the reason why I got into tacos and Mexican food here in Texas, I wanted to educate people that like tacos are not necessarily tacos that you get at Taco Bell. And so like ours has cabbage on it, fresh onions, cilantro, like and it's not just lettuce and cheddar cheese and whatnot. So for us, we just really want to do the category well and educate and open people's minds.
Sure. I love that you have the other spirits with it because that what all wine drinkers want the person that likes Moscato to drink the world's driest wine, right? So
Right.
all of us tequila nerds want bourbon drinkers to start with an añejo but end up with a high proof blanco. And
Hmm.
but wait, you have to try this Sotol and this Mezcal and this Raicilla. It's like,
Yes.
how do we turn you into all agave nerds? So yeah, I think that's really
Yeah.
cool that you did that.
one thing that's really interesting when we do events and people try the spirits is, you know, I think this is just I'm gonna 100% credit to the founders is everything that they've brought in. It's a product that's representing something that's not being well um, represented in the U.S. market. And like she said, there's so many mezcals out there, and there's different sotols. There's sotols made in the United States. There's all of these things, and but everything that we've brought in, it's we're not from our tequila's not from a nom that's making 200 different products. It's a little bit off the beaten path. They're not doing a ton of other stuff, and it's like how do we showcase these incredible spirits that are just not getting the attention they deserve? It's like Salmiana from San Luis Potosi. It's different, and a Chihuahuan Sotol. They're wonderful, authentic things. Now you're talking about Racia. It's like I think for us, it's like if we're gonna do it, it needs to be something that not everybody else is doing. It needs to be, a liquid from a distillery that just really deserves the spotlight. And how can we use our platform to raise them up? They're the ones that are doing the incredible stuff. We have, I would say, pretty packaging, and we're gonna go work our asses off to, help to shout from the rooftops that it's great. But you know, it's are we bringing something to the U.S. that somebody else isn't doing already? Otherwise, we're just another company with a random product. But it's like we want new stuff that really just deserves a spotlight.
Very cool. Okay, I love asking owners this question because I'm sure each of your restaurants has kind of been a baby for you, right? Each thing
Eh,
you go and start is like your baby. So now you have this tequila baby. If there was anybody in the world, alive, dead, famous, not famous, that you could sit down take your favorite one, share a glass, and talk about the story of how you got here and want to hear what they have to say about it, who would that person you'd like to sit down with be?
That would definitely be, gosh, what can I use? Oh, what would be my first thing that came to my head was my grandfather on my dad's side. Samuel Anselmo Castillo. And he is just a hard ass Mexican guy, wore a toupee towards the end of his life, and like just to be, he's a goofball, but he always drank his Miller Lite and Natural Light, but then he also had some tequila. Um, but more what I remember as a kid was just like his beer. But um, yeah, I mean, I probably got my alcohol palate or thirst from him, as my dad said. It was uh yeah, well, we like our alcohol. Um, it would be him to sit around the table and just like talk about this. I think he would be very proud.
Awesome. So, Dave, you're not an
Yeah.
owner, but you're kind of in this building this brand. Who would you want to share it with?
Oh man, I think I would want to do my my grandfather also, just showcase something that we've built and we brought to the world. Both my maternal and paternal um, grandfathers are deceased, and they were both entrepreneurs. They were both small business owners, and they both built something from the ground up. And I think it would be so cool just to talk about us building this from the ground up, and to contrast it with what they went through, because they made a lot of sacrifices to set their families up for success, and it's just a lot of hard work. And like Sarah's saying, like, we do our own activations. We put blood, sweat, and tears into all of this. And there's just nothing more rewarding than to go through all of that and then to sit with great people at the end of the night and pour a drink and just laugh. And, one thing when Sarah was talking about naming it the flea after the flea market, the reason it was named after the market is because it's a place where everybody gets together. It's something that brings everybody together. And it's something that generations of people gather at the end of the day at that market after all the commerce is done, and they eat and they drink and they listen to music and they dance. And that's the best part about alcohol, is that it brings everybody together. A great drink brings
Mhm.
everybody together, and you're all equal at the end of the day, covered in sweat, just rewarded from a hard day work. And you can just sit back, and there's the catharsis of cracking the bottle and saying cheers and just being able to celebrate everything that you've accomplished.
Yeah, that's so true. And I'm glad that I get to sit down with great people and have great tequila all the time. So I appreciate you guys taking your time to do this with me tonight. What's your web address? Where can people find you online?
www.lapulga.com. You can buy us at Sip Tequila off of our website. Where else, Dave?
Sailbox, also online.
Sailbox.
Support your local liquor stores and retailers if you're in one of the
Yes.
that we mentioned. They've been incredibly supportive to bring us in. Also, follow us on Instagram at La Pulga Spirits. We're always doing cool stuff, posting where we're doing activations, and lots of work with bartenders and mixologists, showcasing just the incredible ways you can use agave spirit in mixology also, which is something we've really been working to help elevate.
Very cool. Is there anything that we missed in this interview that you wanted to cover?
Oh, I don't think so. I mean, I just wanted to put emphasis on like just the team, like, and it's not just one person or one founder, one, yeah, it's everyone from running our social media to our photographer to it's all hands on deck. And but yeah, it's been a really beautiful ride, but bumpy but beautiful.
Very cool. Well, I want to say cheers. I've got a teeny bit left in here. Let's do a little salute, and thanks for coming on tonight, guys.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for
Salud
having us.
for having us. This was so much fun, and we can't thank people like you enough for giving us a platform to tell our story, and hopefully just help build this incredible tequila up in the market. So thank you, and thank you to your viewers for hanging in there with us.
Yes.